do not believe that these charges can fairly prevent Judge Kavanaugh from serving on the court. Mr. President, I will vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh. Thank you, Mr. President.
This was not an emotional speech, and for that reason it was very different from virtually anything we've heard for the past month. It was an argument rooted in reason, and it had a huge effect. The dam broke almost immediately after. West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin announced that he too will support Kavanaugh. Manchin gives the nomination the necessary 50 votes. Even if protesters find Jeff Flake again and scream at him once more, the nomination will go through. Barring some unforeseen event, and we've got to be honest, that could happen, but if it doesn't, Brett Kavanaugh will become a Supreme Court justice this weekend. Now, for the crime of representing his own voters back in West Virginia, who overwhelmingly support
Wish it was smoother, but it's
Senator
not.
Manchin was surrounded tonight by the youth wing of his own party and ritually denounced in the halls of the Capitol. As is common now, nobody tried to stop them or even ask them to be quiet because we're getting used to mob rule here. Watch. These kinds of scenes are everywhere in Washington tonight, we're sad to tell you. The left has given up on making its own case. Activists no longer try to convince anyone of anything. Instead, they scream and bully. As a tactic, this can be effective. It worked for many years for the mafia, for example. But there is a cost to it, especially when it's on television. Normal people find it scary and unreasonable because that's exactly what it is, scary and unreasonable. The left is going too far, and it's alienating even liberal Republicans like Susan Collins.
I am thinking in particular not of the allegations raised by Professor Ford, but of the allegation that when he was a teenager, Judge Kavanaugh drugged multiple girls and used their weakened state to facilitate gang rape. This outlandish allegation was put forth without any credible supporting evidence.
That outlandish story Senator Collins is referring to, of course, was all over the other cable channels, repeated uncritically for weeks. It was, of course, a fantasy. It was promoted by Stormy Daniels' attorney, the world's creepiest porn lawyer, who is now, by the way, a leading Democratic presidential candidate, if that tells you anything about the moment we're living in. He, creepy porn lawyer, lashed out at Susan Collins on Twitter today. He called her speech, quote, entirely disingenuous and shameful. But by this point, even Democrats were starting to understand that the freak show they have unleashed is beginning to hurt them. Ken Vogel at the New York Times even wondered aloud on Twitter if the creepy porn lawyer might be, quote, a double agent all along, working for the Republicans. Unlikely, but he's helped them. Out in the field, though, they never got the memo, the one about trying to seem non-crazy for the sake of not scaring the voters. Progressive leader Linda Sarsour spoke for many on the left when she attacked Susan Collins for the color of her skin.
Doesn't really act like
Susan Collins is the
a regular
mother
pen.
of white women in America who gave us a Donald
I've
Trump
drawn with
presidency.
many different
Whatever
pens.
that means, they're all saying it.
And has a
GQ
taper
magazine
when I
writer
start.
Sophie Benoit wrote this, quote,
There's
"If
a
I
taper,
die
normally it's on the
getting
end,
illegal
it's not on.
abortion, please drop my body off at Senator Collins' house and let it rot."
It's not in
Well,
the
if there's one thing
beginning.
we've learned during the last month, it's what the
I gotta
activist
go and
left
clean shit
really
up.
thinks. And a lot of people are scared by what they really think. Though actually the term think may be too generous. A lot of what we're hearing isn't the product of thinking at all. It's the product of coordinated instructions handed down from on high and dutifully repeated by angry children. Liberals are party people. They do exactly what they are told. Watch this scene today from Capitol Hill, which really says it all.
Let's go watch the vote. Let's go watch the vote. In offices that you wish to communicate with. In offices that you wish to communicate with. I'm going to go to Heidi Heitkamp's office. I'm going to go to Heidi Heitkamp's office. Why? She's on our side.
Repeat after me. And like the little robots they are, they do. his portion of tonight's show. The game is simple. I have two pieces of video for you, both from MSNBC over the weekend. You watch them and you tell us who's dumber. The first comes from preacher without a church, Al Sharpton. Sharpton once worked as James Brown's road manager, so he knew Aretha Franklin well. As part of his tribute to the deceased soul singer, he said this.
So in the words of my late friend Aretha Franklin, show some R-E-S-P-I-C-T.
Catch that? Watch the short version again. Pay attention to the spelling.
Show some R-E-S-P-I-C-T.
Al Sharpton doesn't have much of a formal education. He started preaching as part of a road show with Mahalia Jackson during elementary school. He never learned to spell even simple words. He frequently makes up verbs out of thin air. If you've watched his show, you know he doesn't read the teleprompter well, and he couldn't if you held him a gun. Now, Michelle Goldberg of the New York Times, by contrast, is unwaveringly eloquent. She's got an advanced degree from one of our country's most prestigious universities. She's written a couple of books, one attacking Christianity.
This is a way better program.
That lots of critics love. She writes for the most famous newspaper in the world. If you were in journalism, you got 100 on every test they gave you, you'd be Michelle Goldberg. She's the best our system produces. Here's what she said on MSNBC.
This is the most vocal president, at least in real time, that we've had in recent memory, right? He is the leader of the free world.
Oh, no, he's not. He's not the leader of the free world. I'm sorry. He's part of a bloc that includes Vladimir Putin, Duterte.
Well, he's not rounding people up and murdering them without any, due process.
He'd certainly like to.
I don't think you can say that definitively.
So who's dumber? It's not really close, is it? And it's not the guy who can't spell respect. He's not stupid. That's why he's been able to game our system for so long. But the other one, Michelle Goldberg, isn't gaming our system. She is our system. That's why her comments and countless comments like hers are so fascinating. Our ruling class loses control in the presence of Trump. It becomes clinically hysterical. One person might consider embarrassing or buffoonish. They find existentially threatening. They abandon reason and proportion and decency. They don't even make sense. What is that about? Well, the short answer is that Trump terrifies them. These are people whose main talents are glibness and obedience. That's enough to succeed in the globalized economy. That's what the system requires, lemming-like conformity. And that's what they deliver. They're not very impressive. On some level, they know they're not very impressive, and it worries them. Instead of trying to become more impressive, more creative, and useful, they maintain their rule by bullying, even as they place themselves outside the bounds of criticism. It's been a very good deal for them. And then 2 years ago, and seemingly out of nowhere, Donald Trump showed up, half unhinged, and started saying all sorts of forbidden things, some of which were demonstrably true. This threatened to expose their ill-gotten power and privilege, and that scared them. They're afraid because they know they're guilty. They've watched the country decline as they have ascended, just as the rest of us have. They know what they've done. They understand exactly how much they have to lose by changing the way things are, and that's why they're yelling so loud. Ann Coulter just wrote a brand new book called Resistance is Futile, How the Trump-Hating Left Lost Its Collective Mind. It's out tomorrow. We're honored to be the first stop on her book tour. And it's great to see you. What did you learn spending all this time forensically looking at the anti-Trump left?
Well, I think your description just there describes the never-Trumpers beautifully. With the left, I think it's more that they really do hate deplorables. They hate the Walmart crowd, and that's what they see in Trump. They're able to attack the gun culture and Walmart and middle Americans by attacking Trump without getting called on it, because, technically he's a billionaire who's president. But really, at the bottom of it, they just think he's icky. And so they go on and on about this existential crisis facing America and Russian collusion, without allowing anyone else in their little closed set, so that even smart people, as you point out, they become crazier and crazier, and they are rewarded for being crazy, as John Brennan and Clapper and Comey were. I mean, at one point, it was the left who wanted to chop those three up and feed them to the dogs, and all they had to do is start sending unhinged tweets, as John Brennan has, and suddenly he's a hero. I go through in my book not only all of the lies Brennan has told, and why he was hated, and for good reason, as head of the CIA and just constantly lying, left really hated him. Then as soon as he starts sending those crazy tweets about Trump being, treasonous and history will judge you, I just have one sentence of the names he was called after that. One of the most honored men, MSNBC, deep credibility, CNN. Suddenly it's a Cinderella story. Isn't that happen? Great. They welcome him back.
Can I ask you a question that I've been thinking about for the past year and a half, and I don't know the answer? So the group that the left hates most, the middle class, as you just correctly said, the group that Trump represents, is also the group doing the most poorly. The middle class is dying and shrinking. Its life expectancy has declined. Why don't they feel sorry for the middle class?
It is their hatred of Trump has caused them to lose all reason. It seems to me it used to be, well, both political parties would claim to care about the working man, the middle class family. Both political parties used to want to defend the border. Both political parties used to attack the concept of anchor babies, and illegal aliens committing crimes and legal aliens committing crimes. But you do kind of worry. Trump had this uncanny ability to raise important issues that Americans care about, but it's getting to the point. Now, my governor says America wasn't ever great. If that's what he's driving them to, part of it is, of course, that's what their base, or a large portion of their base, wants. But I really wish we could sit down, liberals, and ask them why. I'm not a waitress at Wendy's. I'm not a union bookkeeper, but I care about my fellow American. Why don't they?
It's a great question. It's an obsession of this show, and I honestly don't know the answer. But I do agree with you that it does seem like Trump, among other things, has totally corroded their own standards. Like, they will say anything. You're going to get case against Trump and tell the truth, but they don't.
Yes, if the resistance were smart, I think they would read my book. It gives them
Okay.
advice, which is attack Trump on the stuff he's actually done. Don't keep, as my friend Joe DeVito says, it's a buffet. Don't keep bringing your own food to the buffet. There's plenty there to attack.
Oh my.
Make things up.
Oh, it's already authorized.
And as luck would have it, I don't have a job, so I can spend months going through Nexus to see the complete insane contradictions of them saying the dossier is it's proved. We know it's true because it was used to get a FISA warrant. It was used to get a FISA warrant on Carter Page, and then 10 months later we find out that the dossier was Hillary Clinton funded research, and suddenly, where did you get the idea that the dossier had anything to do with this investigation, with a warrant on Carter Page? And I have the quotes side by side, 10 months
I bet
apart.
you do. Because I read your column, and what people who know you on television may not know is that you write your own stuff, and you are a brilliant writer. And I mean that. I think even people who disagree with you would agree with that. So I hope this book sells a ton of copies. It's out.